he's overcome to get to that spot. And they'll find the right thing. I always like it when they find somebody that's a little smaller rather than a bit more mainstream. And so that to me is always interesting, not to mention the fact that we'll get to see supposedly the great shape that Ezekiel Elliott's in and Dak Prescott coming back from his injury and how high-powered this offense can be and the defense, whether it can respond to the new defensive coordinator, Dan. There's all those storylines. And frankly, I could watch Jerry Jones all day, watch and listen to him all day. So just let the cameras roll and let's just see what happens here.
Lastly, really quick, Shefty, before we let you go here, we were talking about this on the college side, but I'm interested on the NFL side as well. I know teams are trying to reach that 85% vaccination threshold, but if they don't, or if there is an outbreak with the team during the season, what are you hearing in terms of regulations or protocols that they're going to take?
Well, I think it'll be similar to last year, and you're hearing about how vaccinated players will not be tested as frequently as the unvaccinated players, who are going to have to go through many of the same measures that they did last year. And so, again, in some ways, you'd be back to the way things operated last year, especially for the unvaccinated players. But again, this is still all unfolding now.
All right, Shefty, thanks so much for the time. By the way, the latest Adam Schefter podcast, Adam sits down with Tom Brady's personal trainer, Alex Guerrero. We can't wait for it. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Talk to you later. All right, we had our own NFL expansion draft here on KJZ early on the brink because training camp starts this week. Steelers and the Cowboys report to camp this week, but 1 week from today, the Green Bay Packers report to camp. And so we want to know what the latest is. And for that, we bring in Adam Schefter, ESPN senior NFL insider. Good morning, Shefty. Thanks for being with us this morning. So I pointed it out, 1 week from today, Packers report to camp. Question is, are we going to see Aaron Rodgers? What's the latest?
Listen, I think both sides are still trying to figure it out, Shay. I think that there are discussions that are going on between the two sides to try to figure out if there's some sort of solution to get Aaron Rodgers to camp. In my own opinion, I think his arrival has something to do with his departure, his eventual departure. He's got 3 years left on his contract right now. It's hard for me to imagine that Aaron Rodgers would report to camp with 3 years left on that contract. And we know that this is not about money because the Packers have offered him a lengthy extension. They've offered him a lucrative extension. He has not taken any of that money. I don't believe that that's what he's interested in. He's not looking for added riches. He's looking, I think, to figure out a way out of Green Bay, and the way that these two sides can conduct those talks here over the next week will dictate whether or not Aaron Rodgers would be there on the first day of training camp 1 week from today.
You know, I wonder because we know that Aaron Rodgers is not about the money, right? And we know that in his contract, I believe that 2022 was a natural out for the Green Bay Packers, and maybe that was part of the problem, him not having long-term security. But on the other end, it's about Jordan Love as well. How are they preparing him and trying to guide him through, like, the mental aspect of him, like, being the guy that really nobody wants to see?
Well, Bart, they're going to see him at some point. The question is how soon, and there are mounting indications that it's going to be in 2022 when it's turned over to him. Now, Aaron Rodgers bypassed, again, to the money point, a $500,000 workout bonus to work out in Green Bay this offseason. Figured that he didn't want to go there, didn't want to collect that $500,000, and Jordan Love was there to take all the reps during practice, which, frankly, I think the Packers were probably pretty pleased about. And I think they were pleased with what they saw. But the fact of the matter is, he's going to his second year. He's very inexperienced. He has a lot to learn. And it's difficult to say exactly how and when he could come along. They believe in him. They believe in him enough to have traded up to go draft him in the first round. But I don't know that they know exactly how he's going to do when it's real live game action. Now, again, we'll find out whether or not he's got to get that game action this season. I think the chances are that Aaron Rodgers, they figure out a way to get this done somehow, some way. But the clock is still ticking on Jordan Love, and he's going to see the field, in my mind, no later than 2022.
Now, Shefty, Aaron Rodgers isn't the only pressing issue that they have. Devontae Adams and getting him locked down long-term is something that they need to get done as well. How much does that rest on Aaron Rodgers and his situation?
Well, to a certain extent it does, Bart, because, again, I think they would have needed the flexibility financially that Aaron Rodgers' contract extension restructuring could have provided that would have made it easier to get a deal done for Devontae Adams. But there's no new deal for Aaron Rodgers, so the numbers are sitting on the books the way they are, which complicates things getting done with Davante Adams, not to mention the fact that I don't know how enthused he would be at this time to sign an extension with Green Bay knowing that Aaron Rodgers might not be there in 2022. And so that hangs over those discussions as well. And guess what? It's not just Davante Adams. The Packers' top 5 wide receivers right now, Davante Adams and Alan Lazard and Equanimeous St. Brown and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, their top 5 wide receivers all are headed into the last year of their contract. So there's a lot of uncertainty there. And we'll see how this all shakes out, most importantly, in the next week or so.
Yeah, for sure. We're talking to Adam Schefter right now, ESPN senior NFL insider here on KJZ. Bart Scott, Shea Cornett, filling in for the guys this morning. He's joining us on the Goodyear Hotline. Okay, so Shefty, we were talking earlier a lot about the Giants and Saquon Barkley. When Saquon was asked basically how's he feeling, will you be ready to go for training camp or even week 1 against Denver, he just says, we'll see. That's all there is. What can you tell us about where the Giants are with Saquon?
My understanding is he's coming along well, but again, it's July 20th. It's not September 20th. So he's got, 6 weeks or so to still get ready. And they're not going to push this during training camp. And I don't think if and when Saquon Barkley is ready for the Denver Broncos in the regular season opener, that you're going to see 28 carries at that time for Saquon Barkley. I think they're going to ramp him back up. They're going to be very careful with Saquon Barkley, as they should be. And we'll see how that knee responds here this summer. He doesn't know how it's going to respond. So I think there's some natural trepidation on his part. I think he's coming along. I think they think he's coming along. But there's still a long ways to go, and you still want to make sure that you're extra careful with a player as good and talented and valuable as Saquon Barkley.
Adam, America's team is on Hard Knocks again. What are some of the the backstories that we're looking forward to, or you're looking forward to, this season from the Cowboys?
Well, Bart, the great part about that is that show always does a tremendous job finding out some story about some undrafted free agent's family or
home their first trophy in over 50 years. We're really talking about something then.
I mean, it's about the others, right? Because we know that two things we can count on in this series. We can count on Devin Booker to step up, and we can count on Giannis to step up. So it's about who's that others. And everybody loves the underdog because he's the guy that we didn't know what to expect from. Mm-hmm. We didn't know if he was able to step up, and he's been able to answer the bell, and he's answered it in tremendous fashion. And he's the guy that has the ball in his hands. He's the guy that's able to create. He's the guy that's also playing good defense as well. But Giannis has been the guy that's, I look at CJ McCollum and his comments, that's spoken like a true Robin, right? Because Robin is always going to root for the underdog because he's really projecting, right? When I go to therapy, my therapist say, Bart, you're projecting, right? And CJ McCollum is projecting because right now Dame Lillard is saying this guy may not be enough and we may have to ship him out. He's saying, hey, Scottie Pippen's like, yeah, absolutely. Chris Middleton, everybody that's been the number 2
leave my Bulls out of this, okay?
That.
My Bulls out of it. That was Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. All right, so Bucks lead the NBA Finals 3-2. Game 6 tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern on ABC and ESPN Radio. Coverage starts at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio. How will you watch, Mr. Bart Scott? On your couch?
Yeah.
Half asleep?
Well, you know what? No, I'm gonna be up. I'm gonna be up because after this
gotta
show,
take a midday nap.
We're gonna go take that straight power nap. We're gonna prepare, right? We're gonna be all jacked up. Exactly. So I'm gonna go to sleep after this. But it's gonna be exciting because it's almost bittersweet because this series has been so good. You want to see it to go to a game 7.
I do,
but
of course.
You understand that the Bucks are elite at home, and that home court advantage is a real thing, and it's something about those supporting players from Phoenix really showing up on the road. So you want to see who can be an unsung hero because I grew up for the era where I watched Vinnie Johnson hit 007 and all those things. Kerr, you got Paxson. You want to see that who's going to show up and be a hero and introduce themselves on the big stage. Is it Bridges? Is it Covington? Who's going to be one of those others that we can say, man, he was maybe the MVP of the game?
Yeah, we'll see. Tonight, it's all going down. I have a feeling it is going to 7, but hey, what do I know? The Bucks win all in on Drew Holiday and find themselves 1 win away from the title. Another Midwest team is all in on another player, perhaps. Whoopsies. We'll find out next after Bart does this from Granger.
For all the ones who get it done, Grainger is always there to help. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, 24/7 support, free access to product specialists, and experienced staff at over 250 location branches. Plus, their commitment to being your safety partner can help you